Hi, my name is Susan Lilly. I'm with the WVU Extension Service in the Family Nutrition Program here in Raleigh County. Today I want to share a recipe with you. It is tomato garlic bruschetta, and it's good any time of year. And all that we are going to need for it are tomatoes and garlic and a little bit of salt and pepper, a little bit of olive oil, some Parmesan cheese, and basil leaves. And then to serve it, we're going to have some toasted bread. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to wash our hands to make sure we're going to get all the germs off to make it safe for everybody to eat. So, what we're going to have to do first is we are going to dice a tomato. The recipe calls for 4 tomatoes. So I'm going to wash my tomato first. Let's wash our tomato. We'll make sure we get everything off of it. Might have got it at the store, picked up. Or even if you have fresh tomatoes out of your own garden, or a patio tomato you might do out on your porch, we'll make sure we get anything off of it that bugs or other people touching it might have got on there. So I'm going to cut out my core first. I'm going to throw that in my trash thing. And I like to cut my tomato in half. And then it's just going to be a rough dice chop. So I cut it so that the tomato, the skin's still attached, so that I don't lose too much control of it when I start chopping it. The recipe doesn't call for it, but you could substitute for this recipe. You could substitute in canned tomatoes, canned diced tomatoes. Just from the store, just open a can and use the canned tomatoes. And also the recipe calls for garlic. Now this is a bulb of garlic, and this is a clove of garlic that comes out of the bulb. Sometimes people get confused and you send somebody to the store and you'll say, can you grab me some garlic? And you might just need a few cloves, which they don't really sell it that way, but a bulb of garlic is how it's going to come. When I sent somebody to the store, this is what I got with a whole bag of garlic. So we're going to be using a lot of garlic. And again, if you're in a pinch, you can already buy the garlic minced at the store. Maybe you already have it in your refrigerator. You could use already pre-minced garlic too, if you can't find the fresh garlic. So the way that I do my bulbs to open the bulb of garlic is I put the blade away from my body, and I put it on there, and I use the flat of my hand, and I just smash it. And there, it knocks all the little bulbs out, so that you can just get your bulbs out, so we can, and again, once I get the little, I forget what they call cloves. Once you get the cloves out, how many I need? I need 3 to 4 cloves. I'm going to use 4 because I really like it. I'm going to wipe that back off a little bit because there's little papers. And I'm going to, once again, whack it again with the blade of my knife to get that outer skin, because they have an outer skin on them. So I want to get that outer skin off so that I can get down to the garlic. And usually when you do that, it'll just pop right out. That one didn't, but this one did. Pop that garlic out. And there you go, you get all the paper off. You want to make sure you get all the paper off of it. So what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to, again, lay it down. I'm going to use a palm on the top of my knife, so I'm keeping my fingers away. And I'm just going to chop that garlic up. And if you have a garlic press, you can use that too. That's another way to do it. I'm just going to chop this down. So I'm just going to scrape that in my bowl. There you go. Scrape it off my hand. And I forgot to tell you, I did pre-chop the other tomatoes to save some time. I'm not chopping all those tomatoes. Alright, so we have in our tomatoes, we have in our garlic. It calls for 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt and pepper. Very good. So I got my salt and pepper, those out of the way. and it calls for 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So this measuring spoon has for like powders, spices, and things, and then this side is for liquid. So I'm going to use my 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Okay, got that in. I'm just going to set that there out of the way. And I used an extra virgin olive oil. You can use any type of olive oil that you like. And it calls for 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. Now you could get the Parmesan cheese and grate it yourself, but I actually found it cheaper at the store already in a bag, already pre-grated. So I went ahead and just bought the pre-grated Parmesan cheese. I'm going to dump that in there. Now, the last ingredient that this calls for is basil. Now, I had a little bit of trouble this time of year finding fresh basil at the store in the package, and I went to several stores and I was at another store and just ended up buying the plant because it wasn't too much more than buying the actual little packet of the fresh basil. So I'm going to pick me off. Let's see what the recipe says. I forgot. It calls for 3 tablespoons of chopped basil. So we're going to I'm going to pull off about 5 or 6 leaves. That's 3, 4, find a good one. There, 5. And I am going to wash this real quick. Okay, so I'm going to take my basil and I'm going to stack them up on top of each other. And then I'm going to roll them in a nice little roll. See a roll? Nice little roll. And then I am going to again use my knife, keeping my fingers away from the blade. I'm going to chop up that basil. And those 5 leaves about made maybe 1 tablespoon. So now you have an idea about how much you're going to need. So I'm going to have to pull off some more leaves and add to that. We're going to go ahead and do this right now. So I have all my ingredients mixed in here. I'm going to take a little scraper and I'm going to mix all these ingredients up together. All right. Now, it'd be best if you it says to refrigerate it for about an hour to let all those flavors mingle. And then you are going to bring it to room temperature again when you bring it out of the fridge when you're ready to serve it to people. You're going to bring it to room temperature and then you can serve it to your friends. And it's going to be really yummy. And what I did is I took a baguette, and I just lightly toasted the bread on both sides in the oven. I didn't put any oil or anything on them. I just put them on a baking sheet after I cut them and put them in the oven and just let them toast on both sides. I flipped them after a few minutes at about 400 is what I baked them at to get them all nice and toasted. So this is our bruschetta, and I hope you enjoy making this recipe as much as I do. Thank you.